Well, good morning, everybody. Today I am doing the Lathan Cemetery Loop, which is part of the Frady Branch Trail system. I am in Toccoa, Georgia, right at the base of Currahee Mountain in the Lake Russell WMA, and the trailhead is off of Currahee Mountain Road, and it starts out on this old gravel gated Forest Service road. And as you can see, they've had a prescribed burn here recently. It's been 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, they had a prescribed burn in here. So everything's a little on the charred looking side, but I'm just out gonna hike this Lathan Cemetery Loop. There's lots of history around this area. You've got lots of old cemeteries throughout the Lake Russell WMA. There was lots of families lived in here back in the day before the Forest Service bought it all out. So there's lots of old history in here, home sites, old family cemeteries and whatnot. I've never hiked this loop before. I've hiked several loops in here, but I've never hiked this one. But it's supposed to be about 4.5, 5 miles total. So I thought I'd come over here and check it out. It's not too far from home. I'm within about 15 minutes of home, so not too far off today. But just gonna check it out, see what it's all about, see if we can see any historical stuff. I don't think there's gonna be any grand views or anything, as most of the trails in the Lake Russell WMA are just basically hiking out through the woods. No spectacular mountain views or stuff like that. But like I said, I've never hiked this hike, so no telling what we're liable to see. But I'm gonna get on down the trail. Well, there's a side trail there off the road with a historical paper that's on a pole right over there. You might can see it over there on that post, but this is the site of William Edmonds' home site. And if you walk the little side trail over here, you can see all that remains is where the old chimney was at. But that's the old chimney to William Edmonds' house. All that remains. Now, as you can see off down there, as we look off below the road, there's a big pasture down there. And like I said, there was, back in the day before the Forest Service bought all this, there was lots of families lived in here, and they were all farmers. So I'm sure that is some of their old either pasture land or crop land down there. You'll have lots of that in this area. We got a squirrel on the tree there running around, but you'll have lots of these old pastures and old crop lands in here. Some of them are still opened up, you know, like that. I'm sure the wildlife love it. And then some of them will be taken back over by nature with, you know, trees and all grow back up over them. But this was all farming community in here up until, I think the Forest Service bought all this in the 1930s. And, I mean, I think this WMA is like 17,500 acres, something like that. So it's a big area that they acquired. Lots of folks lived in here, lots of families. And the way I've read is that the, you know, the farmland just petered out. You know, just become non-productive after all them years of farming and all, and people were really suffering. And the Forest Service came along and offered them some money for their land, and they took them up on that offer. And I'm sure it was all acquired for pennies on the dollar, probably back then. So, it is what it is. Now I've taken another side trail over here to the old Lathan Edmonds Cemetery. Like I said, there's lots of these cemeteries in the Lake Russell WMA. The historical marker says there's about 45 graves here, but only 4 of them are identified. So most of them, as you can see, are just stones stuck up. No writing on them or anything like that. We do have this one here. But I can really make out what it says. It's worn down. I'm trying to read it, but looks like he died October the 4th of 1891. Can make that date out, that's about it. But, one of the few, and they must have been a veteran of some sorts, because there's an American flag stuck up in the ground there. But yeah, there's lots of history in this Lake Russell WMA. We've got a couple more graves we might be able to read more about here. Here we go. This one's Richard Clark. Died in 1926. And Jesse Clark in 1925. So these are really, really old graves in here. Here's Mark Watkins, who died January the 24th of 1918. He was 63 years old, it says. So as I stated at the beginning of the video, lots of history in here. And you can see there's lots and lots of graves here. Like I said, that sign said about 45 graves, but only 4 of them are identified. So I'm gonna make my way back out to the main trail. I just wanted to take the little short side trail over here to check these out. Well, here we've got a trail forking off to the right. And if you read the sign there, it says that's the Pear Orchard Loop. And then to the left is the Lathan Cemetery Loop, and takes to the Frady Branch Loop. Well, I'm using all trails, so I can't be bopping down through here. I didn't look at all trails, I just saw that sign. It said Lathan Cemetery Loop, so I just took it for granted that's the way I need to go. I got about a quarter of a mile on down the road, and I said I'm gonna pull out the all trails map and just look at it. Well, I was on the wrong route. Going by all trails, I'm supposed to take this Pear Orchard Loop, so I guess that just shows you don't need to take stuff for granted. Just if you're going by a map, especially on all trails, you need to pull it out and look at it just to be extra sure. But anyway, I'd only made it a quarter of a mile down through there, so that's only going to add about a half a mile down there and back. So, but the good thing about it, this is an actual trail here, and I'm off that gravel Forest Service road, and that's always a good thing. So I'm gonna head on up through here and see what we see. Now here to the right, we've got a historical marker. It says this is a historical site number 3, but I don't see a sign here at this one telling exactly what it is, unless it's on back up in the woods. And I'm gonna meander up through here on this little side trail, see if I see anything. Well, the sign there says this is the John Lathan Sr. house site. So I guess this is where his house was. As you can see, there's nothing left today. There is a hole here, and I'm not sure what this was. But hole there in the ground, looks like there's some rock down in there. Don't know what that is. But a few rocks, I'm sure, laying around here that come from the old chimney. And the sign says there's a steel site on a creek off down through the woods there somewhere, but I looked around, I don't see a trail that leads to it. You would think something like that, that'd be a good worn out trail going to it to see it, but I walked all around here and I can't find any trail going through the woods. And I'm not going to go bushwhacking around down there not knowing exactly where it's at. So just another old house site here in the woods. Now, something I failed to mention at the beginning of this video, this trail is it's a multi-use trail, so it's open to hiking, horseback riding, and mountain biking. So keep that in mind, it's multi-use. There has been several horses through here, so you got a little watch out for horse poop, not step in some. Because it's along the trail. Just one of the hazards you have to deal with on a multi-use trail. Well, I just had a guy come flying up behind me on a mountain bike and he about took me out. He was breezing through here pretty quickly and ran right up behind me. I had to get out of the way in a hurry. That's another hazard of hiking on a multi-use trail. You might get ran over by a mountain bike. Here we've got another little side trail going to a historic site, and this says this is the site of a steel and quarry. Supposedly there's remnants of the old steel site up there and a rock quarry, so we're going to stroll up through here and see if we can find it. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. We'll just have to see. It's an adventure. So I'm going to mosey up through here and see what I can find. Well, I found the old steel site. As you can see, this is all that's left is the old, I guess you'd call it fire ring. And a pot would have sat on top of all that. They'd been building a fire up under there to heat it up. It's sitting a really easy trail to get up here to see this. I mean, it's short, but you got to jump back and forth across the creek a couple of times. And supposedly there's a quarry on up in that direction, but I'm not going on up in there. The trail doesn't look like it's well used anyway, so I just really wanted to come up here and see the old steel site, or what's left of it. I'm gonna make my way on back to the trail now. Well, here it looks like we got us a little creek crossing to make our way across. Hopefully I can get across that and not bust my butt. Wish me luck. Now here we've got part of the Mary Steele waterfalls. Mary Steele was a lady who grew up here in this area back in the day. And she's one of the ones who's responsible for all the history of this site so that it wasn't lost. You know, she told the Forest Service where all these old home sites were and, you know, all that stuff so that the history wouldn't be lost. So in honor of that, they named this waterfall after her, the Mary Steele waterfall. And this is the top of it as it comes down through here. I'm gonna work my way on down and check the rest of it out, but there's a couple of sites here right up there. You can see that sign on that post. This is a home site, or what's left of the home site. There's nothing there, of course, but it's sort of tragic. The lady, was her house. Her husband had been murdered, and then she was accidentally shot by someone and died from the injuries that she sustained. So her children had to grow up parentless, and so that family just suffered tragedy after tragedy. So it's really sad, some of the stories of these families in here. But that is where their house stood. As you can see, there's some pretty wildflowers here growing. The lady's name was Joanna Gibson. So it's a sad story. Now here's another shot of the Mary Steele waterfall. as it comes down. I was up there looking down that earlier, and it comes down here and goes into a narrow channel, and works its way across and then drops over the edge here. Beautiful waterfall. So that is Mary Steele Falls right there. Now after you come across the creek crossing, you'll come out at the top of the waterfall. And the trail forks, continues straight, and then the trail forks off to the left. You want to be sure you take that left fork that comes down alongside the waterfall here to continue on this Frady Branch Lathan Cemetery loop. As you can see, the trail goes on out through the woods out through there, so just make sure you take the left fork to do this loop. Don't want to take any wrong turns. I've already done that once today already. Now here we got another small waterfall off the trail. Not sure if this one's got a name or what it's called, but it's a beautiful little waterfall, and I visited this one before hiking another loop in here. I actually got water here a couple of years ago when I was hiking. Another beautiful waterfall along the trail here. Well, here we got another creek crossing, but luckily we've got a good rock hopping path along through there, so I shouldn't get my feet too wet, hopefully. I'll work my way across. Now, as soon as you cross that creek, you start a climb, and this is really the first significant incline I faced on this trail. I'm right now 3 miles into it. I mean, it's been fairly level, or either going downhill. But I'm working my way. I just came up through there, and I'm working my way on up through here. And it's not a terrible, ascent or anything like that. It's gradual. But sort of slaps you in the face after you cross that creek and start up through here, because the trail's been so flat and easy until that point. But just working my way along. Well, I was just coming up the trail here, and I just came up on something that's evidently very dangerous and evil. You see that thing right there, don't you? It's called a cairn. And I hope I can make it by it and come out unscathed. I'm gonna have to just sneak by, because from what I've heard about them online, these things are dangerous. So I'm gonna try to sneak by it and not get attacked. Keep my eye on that thing. Just ask Uncle Joe Hikes about those cairns. I think he's ran up on several of them. I don't know if he's been attacked or not, but if you follow Uncle Joe Hikes on YouTube, he'll tell you all about them. He's had several encounters. And of course, y'all know I'm just joking, but cairns, People talk about them things like they're going to jump up and kill you or something. So just being careful around it, you know. But if y'all don't follow Uncle Joe Hikes on YouTube, you should. He puts out some really good videos, and he does a lot of joking around about cairns in his videos. He's another old Georgia boy who hikes a lot in North Georgia and surrounding areas. So if you don't follow him, go over and check him out. You might want to end up subscribing to him too. Well, here we got another fork in the trail, and you want to bear to the left at all these forks, except that first one where I made the wrong turn. I've bared to the left. So remember that if you come in here. So far at the first fork I went right, and then all the other forks I went left. So remember that to keep from getting lost. The good thing about this, the trails in here on the Brady Branch trail system, is they all intersect with one another, and if if you get lost on one, you're going to pop out on one of the other trails, and you can usually pull up the map and look and say, well, I can go this way to get back over here, or blah blah blah. So pretty hard to get lost in here. Well, there was somebody who got lost in here a couple months back, and had to get the search and rescue out after them. I think they ended up having to spend the night in here in the woods. But that's why you always go prepared, you know. I make sure in my backpack I carry, anything I might need in case the worst was to happen, if I was to get lost or get injured, and not be able to go on. Of course, I carry a Garmin inReach device, but if I had to make shelter, I've got shelter in my backpack, water filtration in my backpack, food in my backpack. I always carry some extra food with me, headlamps for if I get caught out after dark, fire starting kit. I always carry all that stuff with me because I'd rather be safe than sorry. People always ask me, why do you carry all that stuff in your day hiking pack? It makes it awful heavy. Well, I'd rather have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Because you never know, that stuff could save your life. Well, I just came up through there and popped out here on another road. And like I said, I'll be making a left. So, back to road walking. So I don't know if I'll be on the road all the way back to the parking area, or if I'll get into the woods again. I'll just have to wait and see. I see a sign up ahead, so see what it's telling me. Well, I just came up that road there, and it comes up here in forks. And now here, you want to bear right. I've been going left, but all trails is telling me to go to the right here. So you're going to keep on going. I guess you'd more or less call it straight, because Came up through there, and that road there goes to the left. And I really think where I made the wrong turn earlier in the video, I think this is that road. If I would continued on that route, it would have came down here and popped out on this. Like I said, all these trails sort of run together if you get on another one, a different one. But you want to bear to the right / straight there at that fork in the road, and continue on, still road walking. Okay, here we've got another fork where an actual trail turns off the road, and this is the way we need to go, judging by all trails. You see this rock standing up here, looks sort of like a grave marker, but I don't think it is. But we're going to take the trail through the freshly burned, prescribed burn area. Like I said, they burned this probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. I remember driving down the highway over there on my way to work, seeing them over here burning this. And it's only been 3 or 4 weeks. I think this is the actual last leg of the trail. I think it will continue like this through the woods until almost the parking area, I think. Now, like I said, I've never hiked this, but I think I saw where this trail comes into the road when I first started over there, not far from the parking area. We'll see. I'm still just making my way along the trail here, along the prescribed burn area. Hadn't got much farther to go, but you can see how everything's coming out green after this prescribed fire. Everything's starting to sprout back out. But started out to be a beautiful day. It was cold this morning. It was actually down to freezing, down to 32 degrees. But warmed up nicely. It's probably in the mid-60s now. So, nice, beautiful day. Good day to be out enjoying the outdoors, that's for sure. Well, the trail's coming back out in the road here, just where I thought it was going to. So it's just a short little jaunt now up here to the parking area. In fact, I can see the gate from here. So the Lathan Cemetery loop is complete. I'm sitting on right at 5 1/4 miles. It'll be 5 1/4 miles before I make it back up here to the gate in the parking area. So the Lathan Cemetery loop is complete. That was a good trail. Like I said, there's not going to have any outstanding mountain views or anything, but lots of history. And a couple of waterfalls. So, not all bad. But any day you can get out and enjoy nature is a good day. No matter what you're doing. So, anyway, I thank y'all for coming along with me on this adventure today. Hope you enjoyed the video.
And I look forward to seeing you on my next adventure. Thanks for watching.